Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 110. I am Brendan, and my beard looks like crap. It is all crazy. I did cardio this morning, and I have not showered yet, so I am a little disheveled. We're going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Daukaus. We're going to go over the prelims here. If you are interested or interested in the main card, I have already covered that. That is episode 109, so go over there if you're interested in those things, and then come back here if you want to watch this first. That's fine, too. Speaking of which, if you do like the UFC, if you like these things, subscribe to the channel. I go over all the fights every single week as far as UFC goes. I cover other MMA. You can see on the channel I cover ONE FC sometimes. Recently, I'm covering all the American Eagle FC cards. I've been covering Bellator lately, so if you're interested in MMA in general, you'll probably like the channel if you like listening to people talk about that stuff, because that's all I do. And if you like this video specifically, please hit like. Let me know if you like it, because it'll give me the indication that people want to see more of these things going forward. So, all right, we are going to talk about the prelims of this card, going over first Sarah McMann versus Carol Rosa. Carol Rosa was undefeated in the UFC coming into this fight. She is no longer undefeated coming into this fight. Sarah McMann is a bantamweight mainstay. She has been around since the Ronda Rousey days. Before the Ronda Rousey days, she fought for the title back then. Still pretty much the same strategy that she had, she has now as she did back then. So McMann got the takedown and stayed in half guard, dominating and did damage in that first round. So in the first round here, this doesn't really tell the whole story. It had at 10-7 as far as striking numbers go in favor of Sarah McMann. I don't know about that. Total strikes. Yeah, so 31 total strikes in that first round. I guess maybe only 10 of them were significant. Whatever. You can see the control time, 3:44 in that first round. That's really what did it for her. Easy 10-9. I might even give her a 10-8. You know, it says 7 of 11 for Carol, but she did not do anything in that first round. That's in my opinion, as far as the interpretation of the new scoring system, that's a 10-8. You know, she didn't do shit. Second round, more of the same. McMann got on the back the whole time, and then attempted an armbar with the last 30 seconds and kind of sat in that position, and Rosa wasn't able to get out of it. So technically, that submission attempt lasted the last 30 plus seconds of the second round. So you could even give her a 10-8 for that one. If you want to look at the striking numbers, it had Rosa up 6-5, but again, those were all, I guess they were significant strikes at the end. I wouldn't call them that. I wouldn't give her a 10-8 necessarily in this round, so I had her up 20-17. That was being conservative. And here in the third round, it was more of Rosa's round. Rosa got the advantage on both in the damage and the wrestling. You can see here in the striking numbers, 13-9, and she did have some control in this final round. So you know, she had 2 minutes as opposed to the other 3 minutes that went to McMann. So I gave the last round to Rosa, so I'm okay giving it 29-27. The judges had it 29-28. They didn't give McMann a 10-8. I'm not mad at it. I understand that that's not the most common thing to do, even in the modern era. So I'm okay with that. But I would prefer that, you know, they started giving 10-8s for people who just utterly dominate the other person, and there's no striking that comes back their way. All right. Gutierrez versus Danaa. All right. Chris Gutierrez versus Batgorel Danaa. First round was pretty competitive, actually. Gutierrez with the volume over the whole round. You know, Danaa landed the bigger shots. But here's the thing. You look at the striking numbers. I didn't know this. So if for those of you guys who don't watch my videos or haven't seen me before, I watch the fights live, or I watch them, you know, the day after or whatever, depending on timing. And I watch them and score them while I'm watching them. And then I will go through and I will look at the striking numbers while I'm doing this. Right. So this is the first time I'm seeing the striking numbers. So my opinion is not swayed just by that. It's by my eyes, and then I will go back and look at the striking numbers afterwards. So I didn't know that they essentially landed the same amount. So, I mean, what I had was I had Danaa with the bigger single shots, and he got a throw. He got a throw, like a big slam with damage on the ground to end the round. So I had him. I actually had him winning that first round. I thought Gutierrez landed more shots than he did, but he really didn't. And Danaa did bigger shots. So first round went to him. Second round, Gutierrez land a freaking spinning back fist and put Danaa on his ass. I thought it was a bit of an early stoppage. This is not not an egregious one. I didn't think it was so bad, right? But and Danaa did take a few. He went down, clearly a knockdown, in and out of consciousness. But then he was sitting up and then getting elbowed, and then at one point he sits over to the side to kind of go into a deep half guard, try and recover and get control of the situation. But by that time, Herb was already stepping in. I have been a little bit critical, and I know a lot of people have, of Herb's decision-making in the recent history because, rightfully so, he's made some questionable decisions. Stopping too late, stopping too early, not paying attention to fights that are going on. I don't know what the hell he's doing sometimes. Not making calls that he should be making as far as like low blows or eye pokes, things like that. This one, I'm not so hard on him. I think he did what he felt was correct in that moment, and I think from his perspective, it was probably fine. But visually watching it, I would have liked it to be, let go just a little bit longer, because maybe Batgirl gets his wits about him just enough to contain him in that deep half guard, and then hold on to recover a little bit, get back up, and we have more of a fight. Maybe we have a hotly contested third round, and we have a really good fight of the night contender on our hands. But it's not what we got. I think, like I said, I think it was ended a little bit early, but again, I'm not mad at it. I think it's fine. It's just what's unfortunate about it is, what I like, kind of what I was just talking about, is we could be missing out on some like historic events, or maybe not. It's like, that's the other thing is, maybe he just takes more damage and then nothing happens of it, which is probably what was going to happen. This is why I don't think this one's egregious. But when you have, I always say, you obviously you want to protect the fighters, okay? But in my viewing experience and watching these things, I think you should always err on the side of definitive endpoints as opposed to jumping in to stop what you think might be the end. Do you understand what I'm saying? So which I have a huge problem with, not Mark Smith. He's just annoying, and he does some shit in there that actually affects a fight that I don't like. But there's certain referees, they will jump in after they see a big shot because it was a big shot, and that's the only reason, right? That not necessarily a definitive endpoint, because maybe that fighter is still fighting back and intelligently defending themselves. Well, why are you stopping the fight? Oh, because I'm protecting the fighter. Okay, but then you could have just stepped in after the first jab if that was the case, or the first head kick that landed, or the first leg kick that buckled the guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want a definitive bookend to a fight. I don't want to see a referee's interpretation of what he thinks is going to happen in the near future in this fight. I want to see a end to the fight, and then the referee coming in and saying, okay, it has ended. And I think that's kind of what we had here, was just prematurely jumping in right before we get the definitive end to the fight. And like I said, in my opinion, it's unfortunate, because I would rather see a fight have a conclusion as opposed to, oh, it's probably going to conclude like this, and I want to save the fighter from that damage. Then why are you letting them fight at all? Okay? It's on a scale, right? It's on a scale. So clearly there's an amount of damage that you're willing to let a fighter take. And it varies from fight to fight, and from referee to referee, and from fighter to fighter. So it's hard to just put it on like, oh, 7. That's how many big punches. It's 7. So great. Like, I think Gutierrez looked excellent. Right, I thought he looked really good backing up. I think Danaa needs a lot of fucking work because he hits hard, but he's leaves himself open for a ton of counters, and he's bad at getting into range against another striker, as we saw. So, there's plenty of takeaways from this fight. It's just, I think it ended probably 4 seconds too fast. I would like to have seen just a little bit more of the fight. All right, here we go with these names. Khizriev versus Tiuliulin. Here, you look at this and you pronounce it. Dennis Tiuliulin. It's Tiuliulin, but Tiuliulin. And then Elias Cobb. Khizriev. Or Khizriev. I've heard it pronounced both. I've heard these Dagestani style names pronounced multiple ways, both with the K or with just emphasizing the H. And then I've heard the Khabib. I've heard the combo there with the phlegm, as Maz Jobrani used to say. A little bit more phlegm. All right, first round. This is a fun fight too. Khizriev got the Dagestani wrestle damage. So in this first round, he got the takedown against the cage, laced up the legs with his legs, similar to the Dagestani style, the Khabib style, right? Where it's this top crushing pressure where you control the legs of your opponent with your legs, you loop over, and then you make them post on a hand, and then you do damage while they post. And then if they make a move to get back up, you just lean on them and then take away their balance, and then you do damage while they try to get up again. All right, it's not the most interesting style to watch. It's not the most exciting style to watch, but it's effective, and I can't be mad at it, right? It's clearly a game plan, okay, to end the fight, because we have seen fights end like this. And he was, he got the win here in the second round. He ended up getting the rear naked choke, and the frickin' what's his face went to sleep. Tiuliulin went to sleep. So great, and he also Khizriev went over and lifted his legs up like you do when your opponent is knocked out or submitted, to bring consciousness back, get the blood back to the brain. Anyway, so I think he's a fun fighter to watch. He's more exciting. Even after the fight, he jumped on the cage because there was some, not necessarily confusion, but apparently he doesn't take sarcasm very well, because he asked why he was on the main card. He was asking Michael Bisping, hey, how come I'm on the prelims? And then Michael Bisping goes, because Daniel Cormier said you should be. And he's like, why he say this? Why he put me on prelims? Why he say this? So he didn't get it. And Bisping was trying to tell him, no, I was joking, man. So afterwards, Khizriev jumps up on the cage and points down at him, and he's like, no, does the, the throat slash thing. And then Bisping's like, what the fuck? He's like, I was joking. But he was calling out the whole division. He was saying, hey, I'm a problem. I want the title shot. He was doing the belt thing, put the belt around my waist motion. This was his UFC debut, so maybe it's a little bit early for that one. But we haven't seen this style in the middleweight division. And I think he could use it effectively. There's a lot of people that he's going to end up beating in that division if he can maintain that kind of crushing wrestling style. I think in the heavier weight classes, it doesn't always work out because the damage is so significant coming from the other person. So you need to have a backup plan, and you need there's just so much weight moving around. I mean, I'm sure if you were just such an excellent Dagestani style wrestler, grappler, you would get away with it without any striking ability, similar to how Khabib did. But I think that there's you'd have to be so high level, and even then you'd have to put it all together perfect, and you'd have to and that's the other thing at these higher weight classes, how much are you outsizing your opponent? Because that was a huge thing for Khabib, was just being significantly larger and stronger than everybody in that in the lightweight division. So he was able to ragdoll him, and he was just so much stronger. And people say, oh, well, he's stronger compared to welterweights, too. He trains with welterweights and light heavyweights. Fine. But that speaks to my point. He's cutting weight, and he's just strengthening all these guys. So anyway, Khizriev here. This style, this Dagestani style, where you lace up the legs and you do damage, I understand. Like I said, I understand it's not the most exciting style to watch, but compared to someone like Diakese, which I talked about, he was on the main card, who wrestled just to avoid striking, right? It wasn't a means to an end, except the end was to not get punched in the face, not to win the fight, right? Like that was he wasn't trying to end the fight. Sorry, he was just trying not to get hit without ending the fight. So I understand, like, someone might be like, well, that's a good strategy. Why would you want to get hit in the face? I'm not saying you should want to get punched in the face. What I'm saying is it should be a means to an end to avoid getting hit, right? The end should be, I'm trying to end the fight. He wasn't. He was sitting on top, staying safe, playing it safe the whole time. This Khizriev guy was looking for a finish, right? He was doing pity-pat damage, good damage, actually, with some of those left hooks to the head when Tiuliulin was looking to get back up. And he can always, like we saw in the second round, transition to a rear naked choke and go for a submission finish as well. So it forces the opponent into a really disadvantageous position, so a really uncomfortable position they don't want to be in, where they're taking damage and they have to move into another less than advantageous position with the opponent on their back fully. So it's like, pick your poison. You want to take little punches to the jaw, or do you want to give up your back and possibly get submitted? So it's a very impressive style when used effectively, and, it's hard to stop. So good on him. Khizriev, also, he looks like he has a personality, which is not necessarily the case for every Dagestani fighter, right? Not the most flamboyant or outgoing guys, most personable. Like, don't tell me that Khabib is funny intentionally. I'm sure he's said jokes, and he says, like, there are things that that he has said that are funny intentionally, but most of the humor and the personality comes unintentionally, like where he's trying to be, where is your chick? Like, I'll fight your chicken. He's trying to be like intimidating, but it came across as funny, right? That's how we got the funny Khabib personality. Or when he's talking about, like, this is number one bullshit. He's being serious, and he's talking about how, this isn't fair. But because his English isn't perfect, like, it comes across as funny. This is number one bullshit. That's what I'm saying is, his personality is not necessarily accidental, but the funny and the lighthearted aspect I think is accidental. I'm pretty sure I can make that statement without getting flamed in the comments here. So, all right, let's move on to the next fight, shall we? And keep this moving at a clip. Jennifer Maia versus Manon Fiorot. Fior, not Fiorot. All right, so I mispronounced her name last time because they mispronounce it. They pronounce it Fiorot last time, or Fiorot. It's pronounced Fior. Right? Gotta love French names where they put a bunch of consonants in and then pronounce none of them. Fucking French language. Then don't put the letters there. Don't put the letters there if you're not going to pronounce them. I understand English has that shit too. I do, but guess where it comes from? French and Latin. Like, the same place. Stop it. It's so dumb. Anyway, this fight was domination as far as Fior. Also, so Fior won this one 30-27. We'll break it down round by round in a second. But Bruce Buffer was saying, he changed the way he was saying stuff, and I don't know why. He was saying the judges score it on all cards 30-27. Instead of how he always says, always. It was off-putting because I'm used to him saying the other thing. He normally says, and all three judges see it 29-28 or 30-27 for the winner by unanimous decision. Let me know. You just listened to me say that. You got to know that that's exactly what he says always. But this time he was like, the judges scored on all cards 30-27 for... That's so weird. Why is he changing it? Because the first time I thought he had a brain fart, but he said it multiple times. All right. Fior was landing some bigger shots more often, doing really good job. Good work on the feet, but just clearly superior striker, and that's what we knew going in. But she also had an advantage in the grappling aspect as well. Maybe not necessarily going for the finish, but, dude, Maia couldn't get her down. Like, she was super strong in the clinch. 34-16 in favor of Fiorot in that first round. In the second round, there was more grappling. So Fior put her on Fiorot. I said Fiorot again. It's Fior. Good God. Fior with a hip toss and a reversal. So she got a hip toss, put her on the ground. Maia got up at one point and got a takedown just for a second, and then Fior fucking flipped her around and got the reversal. It was amazing. Spend time on top, did a ton of damage on the feet as well. 19-5 in favor of Fior in that second round. So I had her up 20-18. There was one kick from Maia that landed to the head. That was her one real good strike. It doesn't outweigh the fact that she just got dominated for the other frickin' 4 minutes and 59 seconds. So, and then third round was just a frickin' shutout. I think, Maia was landing some decent shots in the third round, but as you can see here on the striking numbers, 30-16, way out in front. Fior was landing good shots, good damage, the whole fight. Good job. This is interesting, too, because both of these ladies are ranked. So, Fior was ranked 13 before this weekend, and Maia was ranked number 4. So, like I said in my other, I think she should be fighting Alexa Grasso. Grasso's coming off a win from this weekend, and Maia's coming off a loss. They should end up around in the same place. That's a good fight. And maybe not, because she's coming off a loss. Maybe they want to give her somebody else who's also coming off a loss. UFC likes to do that sometimes. But Fior should definitely jump into the top 10 here. Possibly, yeah, because Joanne Wood is likely to drop out of the top 10. So maybe she takes her spot and jumps up to the 7th spot, and Grasso jumps up here into the 4 spot, right, or the 5 spot. Maybe they end up next to each other. People, Fior being this kickboxer, there's talking about, the possible implications of her fighting Shevchenko. Pump the brakes. Shevchenko is not just a good striker. She submits people. She throws people around. She does pretty much whatever she wants. So let's cool our jets on that one. Let's have her take on somebody else here in the top 5, and then possibly take on like a Caitlin Chookagian or Jessica Andrade. Really give her a test, and then we'll see what she's really made of, and like whether or not she's ready to take on Shevchenko. Because if she can take out Chookagian or Andrade effectively, I think she could be at least competitive, right? Maybe not get totally blown out by Shevchenko. Let's put it that way, because that's what we're hoping for, right? Is an entertaining fight instead of just watching Shevchenko knock someone out in 2 seconds. Although I'm okay with that too. I really am. All right. Next fight. Nicolau versus David Dvorak. Mateus Nicolau. Nicolau is on a long win streak here. It continues after this weekend as well. Nope, he has one loss, Ortiz. But as far as his UFC experience, he is 6-1. It's pretty damn good. 3 wins in a row, and he is in the top 10 here. We already talked about Kai Kara-France and his possibility of fighting for a title. Nicolau also looking to put himself in that title contention picture. So, first round here. There was some really quick boos for this fight from the Ohio crowd. Didn't get it. 60 seconds into the fight, they were booing. I understand that wasn't the most engaging. And if you want to look at the striking numbers, it's pretty fucking boring for the rest of the round. But 60 seconds, give them, I know the phrase is give them a minute. Give them a couple minutes, all right? Let them work into it. But by the 3-minute mark, yeah, okay, now we can start fucking booing. It was boring as shit. So Dvorak moved in. He was moving forward the entire time. In my opinion, I felt like he did more damage overall, and he had more control. Always with the aggression, trying to actively finish the fucking fight by being aggressive. So 12-6 in his favor in the first round. I gave it to him. Not a lot of damage either way, though. But so that control to me went to Dvorak. Second round was exactly the same as the first round, but Nicolau dropped him. Right, so it's 18-18. All right, well, cool. Now what? Like, it's the exact same shit, but this time Nicolau landed one good shot. And then he ends up following up and getting... But look, Dvorak was up again. This round clearly went to Nicolau. And then here in this final round, Nicolau was opening up a lot more than in the here in the third. But then because he felt so good, right? He clearly felt like he was out in front against Dvorak, and he was like way had the advantage and felt like there was no danger moving in because Dvorak was out of it and he was landing some good shots. But the second Dvorak recovered, he went back to this passive backpedaling bullshit, right? And then Dvorak ended the round on top, landing pity pat shots. I think Nico did more damage. Nicolau Mateus, right? I wrote down Nico for short. So I think Mateus did more damage on the feet in that third round. So I gave it 29-28 to him. And that's how the judges saw it. All three judges gave it to him, 29-28. It's not. I don't think that's bad. I think. Oh yeah, clearly in the striking numbers as well, 13-8, and I felt like he landed some better shots too. So Dvorak really didn't get a lot of damage off in that third round. I felt like he could have won that third round if he landed just one big shot, and he could have won that third round. I am not impressed with Mateus, not even a little bit. I was here. All I heard before this fight started and while it was going on about Nicolau's skills and how fast he is and how good he on the ground he is. I don't want to hear that shit. I really don't. I don't want to hear about how good this fighter is when he's not willing to engage, right? This has shades of he's being a counter striker like that and not being able to adjust to not. I'm not saying wade in and get fucking knocked out. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to engage and put yourself in a position where you're able to like exert some offense. You can't just wait for your opponent and run away the entire time and expect that to be successful and then only engage when you feel like you have a clear advantage. That's going to make for a really boring thing. And plus, if you raise his level of competition, do you really think he's going to be successful doing that in the long run? I mean, he's been successful so far against pretty good opponents, so maybe it works out. But unless he changes something or becomes more aggressive, maybe this was just a bad matchup for him. I could be totally off base here, but maybe he wins. He gets a better experience in the future here. All right. First fight on the card. Saldana versus Souza. This fight was fun to watch. It was a good striking fight to watch. There was some decent stuff going on. So here, first round, Saldana outlanding mostly with low kicks. He was being backed up, but not enough to stop Souza's pressure from winning. So I gave it 10-9. But actually, hold on. Yeah. But he did enough, but he landed enough to stop the pressure from doing anything. So Saldana clearly won that first round, 26-15. That's how I had it. And then Saldana was spamming back fists in that second round, but not landing a whole bunch. Souza was landing some good stuff, and I felt like I gave him the second round, so I had a tie going into the third. And then last round was close, but Saldana appeared to land the bigger shots, even though he was tired and sloppy for most of it. So I gave it 29-28 in favor of Saldana, and that's the way it went. So that's how the card opened. I thought it was relatively good way to open the card. So, all right, we're done. Those are the prelims. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching this stuff. If you're interested in more of these, please subscribe to the channel. Go through and look at the library. If after you're done watching a fight, hop over to my channel because I talk about the UFC fights the day after. I post these at least every Sunday, sometimes more often. I really appreciate it. Please hit like on this video if you did like it, and go look at some other stuff that I've done. I really appreciate it. All right, love y'all. Have an awesome week.